Hello friends, welcome or welcome back to my channel. My name is Steph and you're going to spend the weekend with me if you want to. If not, I'll see you next time. I woke up today with the urge to get out of the house, but not necessarily because I wanted to go do something really fun. I wanted to get baking supplies. I don't have flour. I used all of my flour to make cinnamon rolls in my last video, and I no longer have any flour. And I also think I might go to the bookstore. I figured if I'm out and about, I might as well just head to the bookstore first and then go get stuff to bake. So hang out with me. Maybe I'll get a fun little drink, a little fancy drink. Jared and I call coffee shop coffees fancy drinks because we make most of our drinks at home. When we get it out, it's fancy. It's a fancy drink. So I might get a fancy drink, although my favorite coffee shop spot is across town. And I did kind of have to force myself to get out of the house despite waking up wanting to do something. You ever have those moments? Those really weird moments where you're like, yeah, I want to get out of the house. But do I want to get out of the house? Do I want to make the effort to get out of the house? Also, I don't really know what I want to read. I don't know what I want to read this weekend, but I want to read something because I recently finished Wrath of the Dragons and I loved it, but I'm feeling that hangover moment. I'm having a little hangover moment. So maybe going to the bookstore is actually the best idea that I could have. Maybe I'll get inspired. At the very least, I will have the pleasure of breathing in the book air. That always gives me a lot of joy and serotonin. It really does. It really does. Okay, we've made it to the bookstore. I have no idea what I'm gonna get, but I'm still kind of in a fantasy mood. So maybe I'll check out the fantasy section and see what strikes me fancy. What strikes me fancy? I can't lie to you, I keep eyeballing Catabasis, or I don't actually know the other way that you say it. I've been eyeballing it, but I don't think that I need to get it. I don't actually like R.F. Kuang that much. I don't resonate with her writing that much for me to justify buying that book. So pray for me while I'm in there. So the bookstore was uninspiring, but that is totally fine because I really didn't need to buy any books. But I did go into the puzzle section because I've been really into doing word searches and crosswords. And now I really want to try Sudoku because Jared's very good at Sudoku, really loves doing Sudoku. I thought I knew how to do Sudoku. I was like, yeah, I got that. And I learned that I didn't know shit about Sudoku, actually. So I got this white belt Sudoku that's supposed to be easy. There's 300 puzzles, and I'm going to make Jared teach me how to do Sudoku because there's actually a way in which you do it. You know what the thing is, though? I was doing it online. I was doing Sudoku online, primarily on the New York Times website. And I would get them right, but it would take a very long time. And I just thought that's how you played Sudoku. Little did I know, there's an actual strategy, which duh, Stephanie. And I like having the physical books because it is doom scrolling's final boss. I get so absorbed into it that I don't even pick up my phone. My screen time is down so much right now because of this. I'm ashamed to say it, but also I'm just gonna say it out loud. Sometimes my screen time will be 8 hours, right? My screen time right now is down to 3 hours and 40 minutes. Doom scrolling's final boss, I'm telling you. Okay, let's get some cookie ingredients. We have flour. I got my flour so that I can make lemon cookies. We have all of the lemons. I'm really excited. I love lemon cookies, so these ones I will definitely be eating. The cinnamon rolls, I ate 2 and then I was good. They were Jared's favorite dessert, so I knew they wouldn't be wasted. I got some strawberry and raspberry yogurt. I like this brand. I just discovered it. It's the Icelandic Provisions Thick and Creamy. And I got my blackberries because I really love blackberries. I love blackberries and strawberries. I'm not a blueberry fan. There's something about the texture that really bothers me. I got some bell peppers. I love bell peppers. I love to saute them. I like to eat them raw. I like to put them in salads, pasta salads, or regular salads. I love bell peppers. Orange and red are my favorite, but orange is by far my favorite. feta cheese because I also put the feta cheese in the pasta salad, and I'm going to be meal prepping tomorrow because that's something that I'm trying out. I've never really been a meal prepper, but I'm going to try to meal prep a few things that I think will make my lunches easier, especially. So I'm gonna be making a pasta salad and putting some bell peppers in it, some feta, and then I have a few other things that I'm gonna add into the pasta salad that I bought last time we went grocery shopping. You're bringing me a tool. But I had already had a few other leftover vegetables from last week's grocery shop that I'm gonna use in the pasta salad. Are you still yelling at me? Who's yelling at me? I got some crackers because I have this like really yummy spreadable cheese, and I actually really like rye crackers. I know, it's weird. What a weird time. I love the texture and I like the taste, okay? And then lastly, I got this unsweetened big ass jug of iced tea because I love iced tea. And I got these sparkling lemonades that I'm going to make some Arnold Palmer's with my iced tea and sparkling lemonade, and I'm so excited. But I have to wait for Jared to come home with ice because I forgot to get it. I'm gonna finally start it. I'm finally starting it. Oh my God. Okay. It was the most chaotic thing that I could possibly do today because this is quite a chunky book. Also, I'm so nervous for this because V.E. Schwab and I are very hit or miss. Actually, I don't really like to say that we're hit or miss. I like to think that I enjoy the books when I read them, but they're always very forgettable for me. I like go into them, I enjoy them when I'm reading them, and then I do not remember characters, plot, anything that well. So I'm looking forward to this, but I'm trying to go in with like tempered expectations. Okay, trying to go in with tempered expectations. I really want to try making a sparkling lemonade tea. I've had one from Trader Joe's. Do I still have one in the fridge? No. Over the summer, they had like the sparkling matcha lemonade and the sparkling Arnold Palmer. The matcha one was good, but I just love an Arnold Palmy. Okay, so I found these Bundaberg non-alcoholic beverages. It's a brewed sparkling lemonade, and I've got my iced tea. I do like the Golden Peak unsweetened tea when I don't want to brew my own black iced tea, to be honest with you. I don't know, this one tastes good. I like it. It just literally has brewed tea. Brew tea. Oh, that's pretty good. That's pretty refreshing. That's pretty refreshing. I do think I probably need to add more lemonade. I will say that if you were like a sweetness person, you really enjoy sweetness and an Arnold Palmer, I don't think this is it. I don't think that even adding the whole thing of this lemonade is going to bring a lot of sweetness. I mean, there is 43 grams of sugar, but somehow, maybe it's like the sparkling water. I don't know. It doesn't taste super sweet, but it is refreshing. And in my big ass cup, nothing could be better. Okay, let's make these cookies. Figured out what this reminds me of, and I think a big part of it is the backdrop, but also the writing style. I don't know, maybe they have a similar narrator as well, so it's giving me the same vibes, especially because the backdrop is Spain, but it reminds me of The Familiar by Leigh Bardugo, which I did enjoy. And when I'm listening to this, while I'm absorbed into the story, again, I don't know if this is gonna stick with me. And I like the two women that we've been following heavily right now, so this is a good sign. I'm in it. I'm in it. So I'm making them in skull shapes because I don't have a round cookie cutter. I only have this skull shape, I have a bat shape, and I have another Halloween one. Is it a pumpkin? I think it's a pumpkin. I should find the pumpkin one. I feel like I should find the pumpkin one too. I am basically 200 pages into this. I have read all of this today, and I will say that I am enjoying so much of this book in terms of the writing, the atmosphere, the female rage. I really, really love a book filled with female rage. I think our two main characters, Maria and Sabine, are perfect characters at depicting female rage, and the experiences that they're having are very visceral. I especially think that Maria is really unhinged, and I'm enjoying that. We have been introduced to vampires at this point in the book, and I'm enjoying the different POVs, but I will say that Alice's POV, the one set in 2019, is the one that's like very weak for me, and I'm not quite sure how it fits yet. And I know it's all going to come together. There's a purpose. There's definitely a purpose, but I'm not quite 100% sure how this ties in. There's another comparison that comes to my mind, and it's not so much the writing or anything like that, but the way the structure of this book is. It reminds me so much of Lucy Undying. Is that the title of it? The one by Kirsten White. I'll put the photo here. This structure reminds me so much of that book, and while that book did not work for me, this book is working for me. I currently don't really have like a 5-star feeling about it. It's just easy to read. The chapters are short, it's easy to read. There's very little plot happening. It's very vibey. In 200 pages, I don't know. I don't feel like we've gotten to the meat of what this story is about, but maybe we have. I don't know. Very vibey. I did read a few reviews before going into this book, not on purpose, just because I saw them online or I was watching people's videos about them, where people said very similar things, that it's very vibey rather than full of plot. And listen, as a Raven Boys stan, as someone who absolutely rides for the Raven Boys, I can get down with a vibey, low plot book. I really can. So it's not really bothering me that there isn't a lot of plot in here. I'm really enjoying the atmosphere a lot. I actually like following Maria the most out of all of the characters in here, so I'm glad we're spending the most time with her. I'm just curious how this is all gonna come together. To catch you up on what this book is about, essentially we're following a few female main characters of varying ages and in varying timelines. There are perspectives in the 1520s, 1530s, and 2019. I have a feeling other years are going to be interspersed within that, but currently what I have seen is 1520s, 1530s, and 2019. And I would say we're following mainly two main characters, Maria and Alice. Maria is in the 1520s. She is about to get married to a count. He has a lot of money. She has always wanted to marry somebody who is wealthy and kind of bask in the riches of marrying up. And she does that, but quickly finds out that that marriage is not what it's cracked up to be, and that her life is not what she expected it to be. So in ways, she is trying to find a way out of this. She's trying to find a way to make her life better. She's trying to find a way out of almost toxic relationship, but they haven't quite been together for very long or have known each other for very long. And there is this person who comes into her life and kind of changes everything forever. And then you have Alice in 2019, and she's a college student. She is a lesbian, but she hasn't come out to anyone. And she meets this woman named Loc'D at a party. They end up going home together. And this particular night also changes Alice's life. And we kind of go back and forth between these two timelines, learning about how their lives have been changed. But I think something that's so similar between the two timelines is the fact that both of these women are closeted. One is simply because of the time in which it's taking place and how women are viewed and how sexuality is viewed at this time, especially in Spain. And then in 2019, we have a woman who doesn't feel comfortable coming out. And you're seeing both of them explore their sexualities for the first time, but also grappling with societal expectations of being with men and how men treat women. And so it's really interesting to see that while certain things have changed through the years, right, you still are seeing people grapple with sexuality and hide their sexuality. And I think that was a really interesting dichotomy that's happening, because what they're experiencing in some ways is very similar, but in other ways it's extremely different. And so I find that really fascinating, and I just think the commentary on female rage in general is really doing something for me. It's really doing something for me. So I'm glad that I finally picked this up. I have been really intimidated by it, and like I said in the beginning of this video, I've been worried because I don't know, I'm just not quick to pick up a V.E. Schwab just based on how it doesn't like stick with me. Her work doesn't stick with me, but like, who cares? Not every book has to stick with you forever and ever and make an imprint on your heart. Like, you can just read something and really love it in the moment, and that's perfectly fine. And I feel like that's what's happening. But I like the messaging in here. I like what is being said. So like, that's also amazing. Morning, friends. It's like 11 o'clock right now. I have had a very slow morning. I've had a rough morning. I've actually had a couple rough mornings in a row. Something's going on. I was doing fine. I was getting up at like 6:45, 7 o'clock every single morning, and I was feeling good, and it was feeling like it was helping my insomnia. But I think like the stress of work recently has just made me backtrack. It's made me backtrack. So I had a really rough morning, and I just could not be bothered to talk until right now. I also took a little bit of a walk, and I made myself a hot matcha because fall's here, baby. Fall's here. I don't care that it's 94 degrees outside and we're going through a heat wave. I don't care. It's fall, baby. As you could tell by my spooky sheets, and I don't even think you can. Oh, Goose is here. Hey, Goose. Well, he's blocking it, but there is a little ghost in that corner. I'm gonna show it to you. This is my Martha Stewart ghost. This little baby sings me to sleep every single night. Look at her. She's singing. She's an opera singer. Phantom of the Opera is here. So I don't really know what I want to do today. I want to keep it low key. I still want to read. I'll probably puzzle. I'm probably just going to sit there and puzzle because that was so relaxing yesterday. But I do really want to find a cozy game to get lost in, because at this point I'm kind of replaying all of my favorite cozy games, and I want to find one to get lost in. I did get Great Bazaar. I don't know, the Story of Seasons, the one that they just remade. I did get that one. I like it. It's just like a little chaotic. So I think I want something a little more low-key than that. And I was thinking about Animal Crossing, but once again, it would just be me replaying. I would just be restarting my island at this point, and I don't feel like doing all of that. So I think I'm gonna just like go through the catalog and see what cozy game I'm in the mood for. I could play Tiny Bookstore. I could, because I'm not super far into it and I was loving it when I was playing it. Who knows? Who even knows if I'll play a game? I'll definitely be puzzling. Also, my lemon cookies turned out amazing. Ooh, and I'm gonna have a lemon cookie, and I'm gonna have like a comforting lunch. What is that lunch gonna be? I don't know. I don't know yet, but I'm gonna have a lemon cookie for sure. They turned out amazing. Even the naked shortbread without the frosting is delicious, immaculate. This recipe, the Sally's recipe, I will link it down below. This Sally's recipe is by far the best lemon shortbread that I've ever made, and they turn out amazing every single time. The only piece of advice that I would give you is follow the instructions to a T. Like when she says your butter needs to be room temperature, make sure it's room temperature because you have to cream the butter, and that is like super, super important to the recipe. And also when she says do not let the dough get too warm, listen to her, because I've definitely had a batch where I was like, whatever, it doesn't matter, Sally, it matters. It matters. They were a mess. They were a mess. Also, the last thing to note about the lemon cookies is the top is not gonna look super golden brown. It's the bottom that matters. So usually I'll flip one over while it's still in the oven just to make sure that it's like a golden brown. And if it is, that usually means it's done. It's like a 14 to 15 minute bake time. It's not long at all. And so far as I've seen, because this is like my 4th time making the recipe, it's pretty accurate. It's pretty spot on. I mean, I guess it probably depends on your oven, and I feel like that time frame has worked perfectly every single time. Sally really knows what she's doing. I also used her recipe for the cinnamon rolls. I pretty much always go to Sally for any recipe first and foremost. Although I do think I want to try a different cinnamon roll recipe and see if it was me or if it was the single rise recipe, because a lot of the other recipes I read were like double rise for the dough. And I'm curious if that's one of the problems that I had, or if I maybe overbaked it a little bit, because the bread, while it was good, it was a little bit stiff. And so I'm trying to see how do I make it a little more ooey gooey. I have not been doing much today. I've been kind of going back and forth between watching Teen Wolf and puzzling and watching YouTube videos and puzzling and watching Teen Wolf. I started my rewatch of Teen Wolf, if I didn't say that. I say rewatch, it's not really a rewatch. I've only seen episodes here and there. I've never actually watched a full season through. So in reality, this is like a first time watch for me. And I have to keep reminding myself that these teenagers were teenagers when I was a teenager, because it does feel weird following teens. Actually, I don't know that it's weird following teens. I don't think I've really followed a show where it's primarily just teenage boys. I don't think there's a lot of shows that I've watched where teenage boys were like the protagonists, because like Vampire Diaries, they're not teenagers. You know, they're in their 20s, and also you're following them less than you're following Elena and her friends, who are the teenagers, who are women. And Pretty Little Liars, women. Buffy the Vampire Slayer, woman. Sabrina the Teenage Witch, you get the point. However, I'm actually having a really great time with the show because it's just so nostalgic. And it is absolutely a show that I don't know why I didn't watch it as it was coming out, because it's something I would have watched because it reminds me so much of Vampire Diaries. But I actually came into Vampire Diaries a few years late, so that also makes sense. I think it was around the time when I was just like not really watching a lot of new television, because the flavor of my neurodivergence is to rewatch and re-listen as many times as possible, or until I get absolutely sick of it and can never watch it or listen to it again. That's also a thing that happens. Anyway, that's all to say I haven't really been reading as much today as I wanted to. I feel like I've maybe read 10% more than when I last updated you. And I still feel like I'm having a change of pace with Alice, where I'm enjoying her POV more. I'm just still curious how it's all gonna fit into the story. And like, there are certain things in her POV that are leading me to an assumption about what's going to be revealed, what's going to happen. But at the same time, there are certain things we are so focused on in her POV that it's like a mystery to me why we're so focused on it. And so I have this feeling that we have to be getting some sort of big reveal at some point in her POV. I just hope that it happens soon. I'm liking her POVs more than I was before. Not that I disliked it, I just didn't see how it fit, but I am liking it a lot more. I'm like actually liking her POV a little bit more than Sabine at this point, just because we're at a weird place with Sabine's character and what she's doing. Although there is a fascinating plotline, well, I think it's going to be fascinating plotline that is unfolding in her POV currently, because she just got to a new city and she's meeting some new characters, and I feel like these are going to be pretty transformative relationships, but we'll see.
Saw you paint a picture of a face, a face that wasn't even close to mine. I know I shouldn't be in love, but it's anyway. I'd give you the world like I promised I would, even though you wouldn't do the same. I'd give you the world like I promised I would, even though you wouldn't do the same. Had this conversation more than 10 times. After 9, I still wish you were mine.
I just finished the book. I finished it this morning while getting ready for work. I'm about to head out for work. And I just like needed to update my initial feelings because I think I'm like irritated at the last quarter of this book. I have a lot of mixed feelings about this one because I think that this book felt like 2 different books smashed into one. And a big part of that obviously is like the huge timeline that we have, because we go from the 1520s to 2019. Like there's this huge swath of time. There's a whole swath of characters, not only ones that we're following pretty intimately, but also the ones that we're following, they're meeting new people, and those characters become really pivotal to their growth and their story. And then we have the growth or regression, depending on how you look at it, of each of our characters that we're intimately following. And it's very fascinating. And I think that obviously that kind of storytelling breeds a variety of different tones throughout the book. But I just feel like I liked the first half of this book so much more than the latter half of the book. Although there's a character that gets introduced a little bit later into the book. I would say she gets introduced maybe at the halfway point, maybe a little after the halfway point. And I liked her stories because it made a lot of sense and tied a lot of things together with one of our characters. However, there's another POV that we've been following that even by the end, I'm unsure that it was necessary that this POV was added into the story, because I feel like you could have gotten the same point across with just 2 of the characters in here. But I just have such mixed feelings, so I'm gonna spend the day, I guess, thinking about it. I don't know. I don't know how to feel. I don't know how to feel. Because it's not one that I hate, and something that I said to Jared yesterday is I think I like V.E. Schwab best with these types of books. I think Addie LaRue, Bury Our Bones, I like her best with this writing and this style rather than fantasy. And this isn't to say that her fantasy is bad, it's just that these types of stories stick with me more from V.E. Schwab. So I feel like this particular genre where it's like fabulism, where there's mainly literary fiction happening with a touch of magic, with a touch of fantasy, that is where she thrives for me. Her writing is the most beautiful for me, and I feel like I immediately connect to these stories more. But yeah, ultimately I'm leaving this book with mixed feelings. If I have more thoughts and feelings, which I feel like I'm going to come back to you and give you maybe a better overall review, because I think I'm going to be gathering my feelings and thinking about this one for a while. Hopefully it's to the positive, because right now I'm feeling a little bit mixed and more negative. So it's been a few days. I've still been thinking about the book. I still have mixed feelings, but I'm landing more on the positive than negative. However, I still don't like the ending, and I don't think in any world I would ever like the ending, because it didn't feel like it fit with the rest of the story and what we knew about the characters. That is what I've pinpointed as my biggest problem with the ending of this book and why it gave me such mixed feelings. What I said still remains true about the fact that we have a POV that is very present throughout the entirety of this book that I don't quite understand, even to the end, why this POV was necessary and was such a big part of this book. And I think ultimately that was my biggest complaint about this book, because there was so much that I enjoyed about it. I really liked Maria, I liked Sabine, I liked Loc'D, and I think that those intertwining stories were so good and so well done. And then we had Alice, and I just don't know what to do with that POV, because in moments I was like, ooh, I really like this POV and I like what's happening, but I don't quite get how it fits with everything. And by the end, I still don't understand. I still don't understand. And it's bothering me. And I also just think the end was all over the place for a lot of reasons. Setting that all aside, because I don't want to focus on just the negatives, there is so much greatness to this book. It is so gay. It is so gay, and every single POV that we got and almost every character that we were introduced to was gay, and I loved it. I loved the exploration of sexuality. I loved meeting people who were already very established and comfortable in their sexuality. I liked seeing queerness throughout the timelines from the 1500s all the way to 2019. It was so fascinating and I loved it so much. The writing, the atmosphere, the slow, melancholy, but almost a little bit eerie tone to this book just really spoke to me. It actually put me in a very like slow gothic mood in general. And I think that that is why I said V.E. Schwab really thrives in this type of storytelling. I think that her writing is just done so well with this type of story. And I do think that while there wasn't a lot of plot, I don't know, like the characters and what they were going through and the different relationships that you were seeing really made up for this lack of plot. And I think especially if you go into it knowing that it's like not a fantasy book, it is literally about people being toxic. And it's so much about female rage. And while there are vampires that literally exist in this world, I also am like, is vampirism an allegory for female rage? I don't know. And so I'm definitely not saying that my mixed feelings about the end of the book especially should stop you from picking this book up, because there's so much goodness in it. And I do understand the 5 stars. I'm just annoying. I'm annoying, and it fell flat for me. I feel like I had pizza on my face this whole time that I was talking to you. So that's really cute. I'm not refilming this, so please look away if you saw that pizza on my face. Thank you so much for spending the weekend with me. I had such a cozy weekend. I really needed just a couple days in my house, not talking, just relaxing and being cozy, and I accomplished that. I felt very rejuvenated and motivated to go into this week, and I also am in such a huge reading mood, so that's really cool. And I'm just feeling the fall spirit. I feel the fall spirit in this Chili's tonight. So if you want to leave a comment just to say hey and you have nothing else to say, feel free to leave any fall emojis down below, and I'll talk to y'all next time. Bye friends.